I'm Scott Jaffe. It's the 30th of January 2014, approximately 9 o'clock in the a.m. Beginning to get to another stage of cleaning this place. This building uh, went through some damage and then some remodeling. The electricity was turned off. The water, obviously, the electricity is working now. The gas is working. The water is still turned off. The water does not work. Every utility's been paid up by the owner, to my understanding. The building is paid for by the owner. The name of the owner is Barry and Martha Jaffe. The electricity is not burning anything down. You have a picture of what happened when it turned on with the gas company yesterday with the gas back there outside. Once more I'll go quickly outside and show that. And kind of staying here, making sure that the place wasn't getting taken advantage of. Somebody got in here and took advantage of it. Evidently played around with the setting in here that had been turned to off. And then he tagged it, evidently. It meant something. There's two of something. It's a little thing that they're playing. But anyway, that blue device there was turned towards the outside instead of straight up. It was turned on when the electricity turned on first thing in the morning, and it sparked something in there, and I came outside to about 5 minutes later. I was hearing some gas in here, and I go, "What's that?" I go outside, I go, "Whoa!" Wasn't good. So I'm walking through a darkened room. Approximately 3 days ago, some violations were placed. Not occupying it, just working on cleaning it and getting out of here at the beginning of the month. Management property was called, evidently by the owner. I don't know what kind of management opportunity there is, but to stay here, it has to be brought up to code. It doesn't appear that that's too difficult to do on the outside. That seems pretty consistent with being up at code. A couple of details for them to do some tarping and stuff like that if they do that. It appears Barry, the owner, doesn't choose to, so there's that personal choice he's making. So the end of the month is here. I've talked about it. To stay here for me, I just have to bring it up to code, which means turn the power on. But this seems to be difficult to do, so apparently there's going to be some problems here. Anyway, it's about 3 minutes of information. We got some of the gutter. Looks pretty clean. There's really no. After a couple of years of utilities off, there's just really nobody been back here squatting too badly, if that could be called what they've been doing at all. He's got no defense against this. He sends me gifts here and mails to me a couple $100. Didn't do much. It was a nice birthday gift this last year. I guess $100 for his interpretation of what people are worth when he thinks they're only worth 98 cents in a box. Anybody? As I started to work on my doctoral thesis here, he began to get stranger and more unpredictable. This is the owner of the property. And I experienced this unfortunate situation, which was not unlike the Aaron Alexis, but I didn't kill anybody. I just instead started to really act very strange inside of this building. At the same time, I realized what it was, and what it was is the psychic problems, the latent self problems with the psychology, the dome theories, the BST behavior modification stuff, the BST connection to behavioral sciences and SATCOM development work, camera studies, monitoring studies of gas and oil concerns, Halliburton being one of the gas and oil concerns here in the Ojai Valley. The situation is that the house is in disrepair, and I haven't got the funds to repair it. What I have is, quite literally, a legal office that doesn't have a shingle and doesn't have any clients. just one entity. And the one entity that it has is this nonprofit that owes a significant amount of money, $3,700. And the significant amount of money, the $3,700 it owes, demonstrates there's no standing water, as you can see. So, there's no standing water. There's no toilet water, so there's no feces built up or anything. I mean, it's not disgusting. There's dryness. I haven't really been staying here, habitating. It's been more like gathering evidence and working from an office that got beat up. It's like the office got raided, and I came back to it, and there was nothing here, and there's no money. So at least it's a roof over my head, and there's a bed on the ground. And I heard that they did some horrible things in my office while I was gone. And it's a radio frequency office, and I have patents pending, and I have a bunch of intellectual property, and thank God they didn't get the original paperwork on that stuff because I hadn't yet filed for it. But I had wavered, so I have a lot of paperwork protection, you could say. And a couple of my clients, who probably wouldn't want to say they were my clients, but the United States of America's government most definitely is, because it was experiencing something that I responded to, because they put it out there in the newspapers that they were looking for something called sextant, and they were looking for the creators of it. They wanted to know about Mega Upload, and I've taken great pains and personal expense over the last 4 years of developing not only a thesis on my treatise, which is about education and parenting, but also becoming aware of how fully central I really am. Dr. Salk is, if not intending to be, but would have been interesting to talk about the mind itself holding malware and viruses as a Dr. Salkian component of an educational piece. So it was more of a, you would probably have seen me as a new age educational theorist, a paradigm builder, and also a paradigm deconstructing analyst, estimating educator. And I hadn't yet thought the words through completely until just now. So in these 7 minutes, you've seen what happened is my mind kind of got beautiful and not beautiful. But I also work with now some pretty big persons who are at least looking at my little person body right here and going, you've been through it. You really came up behind what they were doing with a lot of your stuff in the other PhD sectors, locking you out like a little pup who can't come to play. And you turned around and turned out to be some big thinker here. And you did something with this little tiny iPhone and this little tiny connection to the internet and a couple of laptops and some very interesting sociological work over the last 30 years, remaining very laissez-faire as most of the people around him ran from some things that they were getting into they couldn't get out of. And as they kept running, isn't it important when you're in the mall, your daughter says, we're going to the mall. She's 12 years old. You get separated, what do? Before you even go to the mall, you say, if you ever get separated and you can't find me, immediately come over to the security gate where Charlie is. I'll be sitting there reading a book all day long. The first time that ever happens, she shows up. He says, now we can bring your friends. I trust you. Let's go get something to eat. And she's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. He's like, let the rabbit go. How about the butterfly? Oh my God, I mean, what kind of educator really talks about that twice? The other times are news of the White House, news of legislation, news of methamphetamine symposium, no drugs, sober, 500,000 persons supporting why their families are in or in not methamphetamine use and how they can address it. Make money, earn money, and not be more legal or illegal in judgment. Because you ever seen a person get back on 700 days of meth use? You got no idea what they're illegal. You see, that's twice. That I did that 4 times. That's 2 + 2 = 4. I have no defense. That's my defense. The love defense. Anyway, what I did in here was go through something that occurred with somebody who fell in love with me. Or at least I fell in love with her. And I thought she said something meaningful. And I thought the other person, who simply maybe wasn't in love with me, but kind of was loving the idea of maybe doing something different for a while, because she's not a gang banger by phenomenon. She's more of like a phenomenon within a bunch of people that redefine their terms of family, as in, my family hit me once. You gonna do it? No, I ain't gonna do it. Blood? No, I ain't gonna do it. Crip? No. And I mean, I'm not trying to make that sound effect be like totally there for everybody, because you don't know who is and who isn't. That's the whole thing about that. What I'm saying is
There's a whole bunch of different stuff when nobody wanted to have one whole new world emperor. Oh, that's a family cycle of violence between someone else's mother, father, who's like a first cousin to someone else that I haven't really met with, but I'm not a staffer, so